In the episode Elemental, we find out the embodiments of the four elements of candy, slime, ice, and fire have been around since the dawn of life. Various creatures would incarnate as the embodiments of these elements through time, and have the capability to utilize powers related to their respective element. Patient Saint Pim is able to awaken the latent powers within Slime Princess and Princess Bubblegum, but doing that for Flame Princess is obviously not necessary. Flame Princess already has the ability to create and manipulate fire. And she's not even alone in that regard. Being able to use fire abilities seems to be a relatively common thing in the Fire Kingdom. The former Fire King can do it, and we've even seen random civilians launch fireballs. Flambits such as Flambeau can even cast fire shield spells. There's a unique situation occurring in the Fire Kingdom where the potential to create and utilize elemental powers is widespread among fire people in general, and not just the incarnation of the fire elemental. I've got a theory as to how this may have come to be. Fire people are composed of the element of fire itself, sometimes completely and sometimes partially. The nobility is often, though not always, composed of pure fire solidified into humanoid forms. This itself is not a novelty. We saw one of the past fire elemental incarnations was composed at least partially of fire as well. But creatures affiliated with fire are not always made of fire. We saw in the episode Evergreen that the incarnation of the fire elemental might not have any flame components whatsoever. So my idea is that, after the Mushroom War, when the world transitioned from a non-magic world to a magic world, beings affiliated with fire actually set off in motion a chain of events that transformed them into beings made of fire itself, which also granted them the ability to use fire elemental powers. I think this was facilitated over time by relying on the power of jewels. Let's recall just how common jewels are to fire people. We gotta look no further than this hallway of paintings to realize their prominence throughout Fire Kingdom history. Gems are often embedded in the armor the nobility wears, and some fire people even have gems as parts of themselves. Flame Princess herself has a large gem embedded in her forehead and has had this since she was a baby. Seems like she was born with it. And this fella here, for example, he's got jewels in his collarbone. He's got similar jewels in the crown he wears as well, which brings me to my next point. This crown sure does resemble the Ice King's crown. The central jewel is diamond-shaped, while the Ice Crown's central jewel has an elongated hexagonal shape, but the similarity is still striking. And it should be. The rubies that power the Ice Crown's wish magic came from
the enchanted ruby eyes of the ancient lava dog Magwood.
Without these rubies, Magwood became a tree trunks-like creature made of lava rock. While these jewels were embedded in Magwood though, it was able to essentially be composed of lava and to change its size at will. It was able to be a being that existed as molten lava. While not directly related to this theory, I also just gotta mention that in Elemental, we saw a giant red jewel embedded in the ice castle itself. But back to flaming stuff, we've also had indications that jewels can be used to manipulate fire in the present day. Cinnamon Bun wears a headband with a gem, and I'd wager this is how that ball of fire is constantly able to burn above his head. Before he had a hat that probably contained a combustible substance instead. And in the episode The Cooler, we even have an instance where FP's forehead gem lights up for a brief moment after she uses her fire powers. I actually think fire beings born with jewels in their bodies are especially gifted and powerful at using fire abilities, and this is at least certainly the case for Flame Princess, who's probably even more powerful because she happens to be the incarnation of the fire elemental as well. So basically, my idea is that I think beings affiliated with fire, perhaps even some of the first incarnations of the fire elemental after the Mushroom War, used magical gems heavily, and through generations, this magic may have rubbed off on them. Their existence was influenced by the magical power present in gemstones, and as a result, they morphed into beings composed of fire itself. Not only did they become fire, they also acquired the capability to create and manipulate fire without even being the fire elemental. Jewels and fire people became so intertwined with each other that sometimes particularly gifted fire people were born with gems as part of their bodies. As a negative side effect of all this, fire people are tied closely to volcanic landscapes and derive their power from the land itself. There is an alternative. The fire giants may have kickstarted the entire line of fire beings altogether, but I don't have that idea fully hashed out yet. I also have a hunch that this event occurred after the theory I've described. Flame Princess saying about how the fire giants led to the creation of the Fire Kingdom, but I think fire people may have already existed. Around the time that the Sentinels came crashing out of the blue, fire people were merely scared of going out, of dying, since the landscape wasn't sufficient to continue powering their existence. After the fire giants crashed down and created the volcanic land of the Fire Kingdom as we know it, a new age of fire was able to begin. So that's my idea. I hope you liked it, and even if you don't buy it, I hope it got you thinking about the Adventure Time lore and developing your own ideas. If you'd like, check out my review of the episode Elemental if you haven't done so already. Flameo, Hotman!